variables can store data of different types, and different data types can do different things. So that is simply data types. The different types of data which we store in variables, which we can use for different purposes. That's what data type simply means. Now, in this tutorial, we're going to be talking about data types, and we want to see how data types actually work in PHP. So what we're going to be talking about is what data types does PHP support. The first data type which PHP supports, we've been using it all along, is a string. So what is a string? A string is a sequence of characters, like these which we have here. This is a string. It's a sequence of characters. Now, a string can be any text, but it must be inside double quotes or single quotes. That is what a string is. It's as simple as that. Now, whatever text you like, you can save in this place, this highlighted portion, and that will be your string. No matter the text which you save in there, that is simply your string, and that is a string data type in PHP. Now let's talk about another data type which is known as integer. So here we've used integer also, and this is simply an integer. What is an integer? An integer data type is a non-decimal number. It doesn't have a decimal number. And literally, integers falls between this figure, which I'm going to be putting here. I want you to take note of this because it's going to be very useful. And this will be 7. Now, integers fall within these numbers. Yeah. So, integers have some basic rules. An integer must have at least one digit. An integer must not have a decimal point. So, if I put this as 2 or 4 or 8 or 10 or 9, I still have an integer. It must be at least one digit. Then an integer should not be of decimal. That means this is no more an integer. This is not an integer type. 8.7 or 2.3 or whatever is not an integer. An integer should be at least one digit, and it must fall within this range of numbers which we have here. Now, an integer can be either positive or negative. And integers can be specified in base 10, base 16, base 8, or in base 2 notation. That is the notable rules for integers. It's very straightforward. And we've actually worked with integers before this lecture. We worked with integers while we added the number and the number one variables which we have here. We added both of them. We even multiplied it, and that is simply working with integers. Integer, string are data types in PHP. Another data type in PHP is called a float. Now, how do we declare a float? Let's say here that we have a float. So what exactly is a float? A float, which is also called a floating point number, is a number with a decimal point or a number in exponential form. So if I have something like 102.9 or 90 or 98. This is simply a float. It's as simple as that. So this is simply a float in any programming language. Float or floating point numbers is as easy as this. It all boils down to having a decimal point or a number in exponential form. That's the float. Another data type in PHP is known as Boolean. What do we mean by Boolean? Boolean. Boolean is either true or false. A Boolean represents two possible states, either true or false. So if you have true, let's say let's declare one. Let's say possible. Possible equals true. Okay, and let's say impossible equals false. This is simply a Boolean. Now, Booleans are often used in conditional testing, conditional statements. We will see that later in the course of a tutorial. We just want to touch it briefly so that we can actually know that Boolean also is possible and it's a kind of data in PHP. So, I'm sure now that you're getting to know more information about data types. We've just treated Boolean. And another data type in PHP is called array. So here we have array. And what is an array? An array stores multiple values in one single variable. How can we do that? We will see that. Now, for an array, we can say, let's take an example of fruits. Fruits, as the name implies, we have different fruits. So here we can simply say array. Sorry about the S, it should be array. Now, for array, we can say mango. That's a kind of fruit, right? We can say watermelon. I love this so much. Watermelon. We can say banana, right? So all of these are what? They are fruits. And you can see that we've stored 3 different fruits in this array, and we have assigned it to this variable called fruits. And that is simply what an array does for you. It helps you to store multiple values in one single variable. We're going to see how array plays out later in the course of this tutorial. Now, another notable data type in PHP is called objects. Now, classes and objects are 2 main aspects of object-oriented programming. I don't want to go into that right now because I don't want to bug you with so much information in this beginning, okay? But we're going to talk more about objects, PHP classes and objects in the coming tutorials. Now, let's just talk about one more data type in PHP, which is known as null value. So let's say null value. Now, this is also a data type in PHP, but it is a special data type which can have only one value, which is null. Yes, it has only one value, which is null. Now, a null value or a null data type is a variable that has no value assigned to it. Created without a value, it is automatically assigned null in PHP. Example of that is if I do something like this. Now, it is this statement or this variable now has no value. Now, if I come here, if you want to prove this, if I come here and I say name, and we refresh this page, you can see that undefined variable name because it has no value. It has no value. So it's a null value in PHP. Now, if I could actually say that name equals null, okay, and it's going to give us a different result now. You see, it's not showing anything because null is empty. It is virtually empty. You get it? When you want to set the value of a variable to nothing, just assign it null. If a variable is created without a value, it is also automatically assigned a null value. So that will be all for data types, and I'll see you in the next one.